Well, tech names are selling off today as well as investors scale back on risk. Now take a look at Apple. That stock off almost 6% today at $271.61. Now the tech giant sold fewer than 500,000 iPhones in China during the month of February. This is according to recent government data. We have Dan Howley joining us. And Dan, we've been talking about the fact that Apple could fall victim just in terms of how much of an impact it could see from the coronavirus. And Dan Ives of Wedbush, he was out with an interesting note today. And he was calling these numbers, quote, doomsday numbers.
Yeah, and they really do seem that way. I mean, we're looking at from shipments of 1.27 million in the same period last year to, as you said, less than 500,000, 500,000 iPhones, and that's in China specifically. So this is all Chinese data that Ives is pulling from, and it really speaks to the fact that, A, demand was hit because stores were closed, and the ability for Apple to output any devices was hit because the factories were closed or idled for so long, and they're still not fully up to capacity. Now, when we talk about the overall impact that could have on the global market, well, according to Bloomberg, Apple is already saying that you might see delays in replacement iPhone units if your particular device is damaged at Apple stores. And there's also reports that there are slowdowns in the amount or the ability for Apple to capture the manufacturing parts they need for such devices. And it's not just the iPhones, by the way. It's also iPads, as well as Apple Watch, Mac, and AirPods. And AirPods in particular are a problem because Apple still hasn't been able to meet demand for those since they were launched, the AirPod Pros in particular. And now that they have these issues related to the coronavirus and still trying to ratchet back up the production, there's going to be continued slowdown with the Pros. But for Apple, unlike other companies, it might not be that large of an issue because they have people captured in their ecosystem, which means that people aren't going to go out and look for other devices to get that aren't Apple devices. So if they want AirPods, chances are they're just going to wait for the AirPods to come out. Ditto the MacBook, ditto the iPad, and especially the iPhone. It's unlikely existing iPhone users will ditch the Apple ecosystem and go over to Google or Android.
And Dan, we've been talking about the impact the coronavirus is having on employees of a lot of these big tech names. Amazon, it was just announced, is now recommending its employees in New York and New Jersey begin working from home.
Yeah, and it's something that the company's done, out in Seattle, obviously, where they had an employee test positive. Microsoft has done the same thing, and I think this is something you're going to expect from companies across the board as we start to see the outbreaks in the U.S. really start to pick up steam. Microsoft, Google, Facebook, they all have big presences here in New York City, so you can expect for them to eventually say, look, if you can work from home, just go ahead and do it.
All right, Dan Howley, thank you.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.